Hello everybody, welcome to the podcast, Pretty Good Gaming Podcast, episode 103. My name is Mr. Gareth Evans. Joining me today is Mr. Henry, I can't talk about that, Cooper.
What do you mean? What? You may be able to hear, but I'm not sure if you can. A window cleaner has just started cleaning my window, which is right there.
When I'm cleaning windows, that's a Cockney thing, isn't it, Henry? When I'm cleaning windows.
But that's about being a pervert. That song, I don't think he can see me. Maybe a pervert, I don't know.
Oh, right.
But that's quite hysterical.
Aren't you like high up in your building?
Yeah, we're on the.
Is this just like suspended, story. Or has he got like a big long brush?
Yeah, I think he's got a long old stick, but it's pissing it down out there. Like, why would you bother? It's just gonna get wet again. So, well, that was a novel intro.
There it is. You never know what to expect with the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast, but there you have it. So yeah, can we say you're under NDA?
Nope.
NDA this week?
I
can't say. Henry's not under NDA this week. He may or may not be playing a game.
I may or may not be.
Don't know how much you can say. I mean,
I'm just going to say nothing.
I want to talk. I think the NDA states you can't talk about the game, right? The gameplay.
We can't. I'm not saying anything. If you want to say things,
can bloody I will stream the thing. If PewDiePie can stream the thing, you can at least say that I'm playing it.
Well, you can say it, and I will sit here quietly and not do anything.
They're not going to take you off no list for saying you're playing it, Henry. I don't think. And we are, of course, talking about your favourite game, most anticipated game, or the one that I'm really excited for. They've dropped new trailers about Biomutant this week, talking about. It was like narrated by one of the dev team, and it was really good. Like talking about. A few of the key features, quite a natural video, gameplay. Like, this is how the game's going to play. Looks awesome. I want to talk about Biomutant, but Henry can't because he literally signed a piece of paper saying I can't talk about it. This is why I
didn't sign anything. I just said, can I have a code? They were like, yeah. Or maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Who knows?
No, I don't think you have then. So yeah, you could talk about it, but that would be breaking the gentleman's agreement.
Exactly.
But we're not technically talking about the game, how Henry's experienced it. We're just talking about in general the hype and the lead up to release, which is now a few days off. It's the 25th, I believe, which is Tuesday next week. So I'm so excited. The more I see of it, the more I want to play it. So can you confirm, Henry? Confirm or deny the game is good?
Can't say it. Can't tell you.
How does it perform on PC, Henry?
I can't tell you.
Okay.
I'm not telling you nothing. I'm playing by the book.
He's a brick wall, man. He's a brick wall. So there you have it. That's all we've got to say on Biomutant. Obviously, we'll have a special next week. I'm definitely getting it. I'm not going to pre-order it, but I'm going to get it pretty early on and get some game time in. We don't say pre-order. This one looks good. It looks. I think that one of the things said in one of the interviews was that there's always bugs with games that ship, so expect them. But to what extent they're going to be? Are they going to be Cyberpunk grade? We don't know, and that's the point, right? So we're not pre-ordering. Henry knows, but I was going to say
I know.
Henry knows, but I don't. But I'm going to be playing it just for you. I'm going to be taking the hit for you guys early next week, as early as I can, because I didn't get a bloody code. So next week's podcast is going to be pretty much. Meat of it is going to be Biomutant, so look out for that. We're not really going to talk about it this week because Henry's going to be tiptoeing. I'm going to be trying to get shit out of him, and he's just going to brick wall me. You know what he's like, the stubborn bastard. So that's it on Biomutant. Wait till next week. Anything else that's kind of apart from doing what you've been doing and you're not allowed to talk about this week? Have you been doing anything else, or anything else caught your attention this week in the news?
Fuck all. Nothing's happened this week. I didn't do anything on Monday, didn't do anything on Tuesday, and then, what the hell day is it today? Thursday. So yesterday was Wednesday. I finally did something. Some crap about Ubisoft still being shit.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. But it's just so quiet, and it's because we're right before E3 season, when that will happen, and then Sony will do their thing, and EA will do their thing, and then we'll actually get some information to talk about.
Yeah,
new games.
I kind of looked at this. Summer Game Fest is what Jeff Keighley's doing now. Like last year, he came out and said, oh, I'm not doing E3. I'm stepping away. I don't like how it's being run. Blah, de, blah, de, blah. Disassociate. After years and years of hosting backstage E3, Jeff Keighley stepped away last year. He hasn't said anything like officially this year, but he's doing what he did last year instead of E3 again, which is the Summer Game Fest. That begins June the 10th, which is just over 2 weeks away. And it will kick off a live show featuring... kickoff live show, yeah. So it's 2 days before E3 officially launches, so it's kind of hand in hand with when E3 is going to be on, and some of the feedback that Jeff Keighley has said that he's had since last year when he did it, because it was like a streaming event, is that that fans who watched it want more information in a condensed state rather than drip fed over a matter of weeks or months. They want it all in one place. So I think that, there's problems with E3 that the ESA run it, and they're mainly for the games industry, and the ESA are very questionable morals to do with all the furore about leaking information, all that sort of shit, and they're just out for the publishers. They do support some of the shady tactics in the games industry, which we always rally against in this channel. However, the Summer Game Fest in itself as an entity should be independent, and it sounds like that's a better way to try and absorb your gaming information and get excited about games, because that maybe because the contact with the ASA there isn't there anymore. Maybe that's something that the players can get behind a little bit more. So Summer Game Fest, any expectations? You think there's going to be a winner?
I mean, I just think the whole more independent thing, like you kind of suggested, is what makes it better than something like E3, because E3 is very, very corporate and business as usual for all the big companies, and part of the success of E3 was these companies being in one place, so then they can talk to each other and have meetings behind closed doors beyond just showing off game trailers, because originally it's a business first thing. It's not for consumers, and I think when it started to become more consumer, it then became more like consumer exploitative is kind of the wrong word, but you know what I mean, like advertising everything and upselling and trying to get you to buy shit you don't need. Whereas Summer Games Fest, because it has this smaller scale, slightly more indie sensibility, it seems much more like a celebration of games, and here's a bunch of cool stuff that we think is fun, and we're working on this, and it I don't know, maybe I'm just looking at it with naive eyes, but it seems to be more wholesome and more just enjoying games, not just about corporatization of the games industry, which is one of the most corporate, arguably, money grubby, dodgy, under the table things in all of entertainment. Well, I suppose all of entertainment is all like that. They just pretend otherwise. Gaming's a bit more upfront with, we're just going to over monetize every fucking thing we do.
That's it. And Jeff Keighley, being the face behind this, he's known for the Game Awards and E3, and having stepped away from E3 last year because of some of the shady things that happened to do with E3 and the ESA and the leaked information or whatever. He's obviously made a statement there without actually saying explicitly, I'm not really in supporting these anymore. I'm doing my own thing now. And the fact that he's
taking my ball and I'm going home.
Yeah, maybe he's made this decision on moral grounds, but he doesn't come out and say that, they're a shitty organisation. I don't want to do it with them anymore. It probably works in his favour. The fact that this is the second year, this is an event that's born from the pandemic situation. The fact that it's a live streaming thing, it might well work. We'll have to wait and see, how this pans out. It is. Is it another organisation? Is it corporate focused? Is it focused on the gamers or the publishers, the ones who's trying to take money from the gamers? We are quite cynical on this channel, but we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. Anyway, hopefully we get some news, at least something to talk about.
Bloody hope so. But things, even with E3 still being a very corporate focused, business based event, I still don't hate it. I think that gets misconstrued sometimes when we complain about E3. We complain about it because we like it, because there's all these good games and good reveals, and it's a good place to get a shitload of information all in one go. But there's still a bunch of problems with E3 as an expo, as an event. Which is where I think Summer Games Fest can come in and kind of rectify some of those issues. But at least it'll be something to fucking talk about for 5 minutes before we go back into a drought. Really, we're just hoping for I'm looking for something big from Sony, and probably something less big, but hopefully a little bit big from Microsoft, because it's the first big summer event of the new console generation. Not this Summer Games Fest, but like E3 season, all that. Yeah. It should be a big one. It should be, but who knows if it will, because all these games have been getting delayed and all these different pandemic-related problems and just general game development problems. So hopefully we get something significant from each of them to kind of get this console war going, to give the Xbox fanboys and the Sony ponies something to scream at each other about.
We want more. I think the fact that it's just so quiet, right? I'm characterizing this as the calm before the storm. I've pretty much Microsoft always come big in the summer. They always come to E3 swinging.
They do know how to put on a good show.
They do, and
Philly will come out,
and they've got so much more this year. Because, I think a recent announcement that was Private Division made a tweet that, the Outer Worlds will no longer be published by us. Going forward, it will be Microsoft. Why that's news to anybody anymore, I don't know. So Microsoft are publishing the Outer Worlds now because they own Obsidian. Obviously, they've bought up loads of game developers recently. They're going exclusive. There's news out that Starfield will be exclusive to Microsoft platforms and not on PlayStation. Again, shouldn't be news to anyone. Phil Spencer said so, that he's going to focus on the platforms that they're generating for a while ago. So with that said, I think that it's going to be an exciting time for people who are looking for new games announcements from the likes of Xbox or Microsoft, because obviously PC as well, not just Xbox exclusives these days, because they make Windows. And also Sony, we talked about last week, they've got around 12, 13 new IPs on the boil, in the bag, whatever, just being worked on. We expect some announcements, right?
Surely at least one, but I would expect a couple. That's the thing with events like E3. You don't want to have any expectations, because I guarantee they're just going to get blown out of the water, and not in a good way. You'll be like, oh, this game's going to show up, and it doesn't, and then you're like, oh, well, what the fuck? But yeah, surely Sony, they're quiet for a long time, but then they come out, and virtually any time they say anything, it becomes newsworthy, because they say so little. So surely they're going to come out with something. I've said it before. Presumably we're going to get some more on Horizon Zero Dawn. Hopefully an actual release date. Maybe something for God of War. And again, I don't believe either of those are going to make it this year, especially not God of War, but Horizon might sneak in. And then an extra game, like a newcomer, brand new IP, or it'll just be another Last of Us thing. Last of Us 1 remake, even though nobody needs it.
There you have it. I've got a full list of publishers participating in the Summerfest. Just to put it out there, because there's a lot of people, a lot of organisations signed up. We've got 2K, Activision, Amazon Games, Annapurna Interactive, Bandai Namco Entertainment, Battlestate Games, Blizzard, Capcom, Devolver Digital, Dotemu, EA, Epic, Finju, Frontier, Gearbox, Hi-Res Studios, Innersloth, Koch Media, Mediatonic, MiHoYo, PlayStation, Psyonix, Raw Fury, Riot Games, Saber Interactive, Sega, Steam, Square Enix, Tribeca Festival, Tencent Games, Warner Brothers, Ubisoft, Wizards of the Coast, and Xbox. That's a shit load of potential new information coming out in just over a couple of weeks, and I'm excited.
That is a packed bill. Surely, among all of those, I've already forgotten half of them because there were so many. Surely, somewhere in there's going to be something for you. Something you're going to be like, oh, that one looks good. The rest was garbage, over-monetized bullshit, classic EA loot box surprise mechanic crap. But then there's going to be one where you'll be like, that's right, I'll buy that.
We can live in hope.
On sale.
We can live in hope. I think that's it. There was one thing I did want to mention. Oh, Amazon Games. There was another thing in the news this week about an MMO. Did you mention? Did you do it? Did you do it in a daily trip this week?
I can't remember. I don't think it was this week, but Amazon Games is a disaster. They've not succeeded with anything.
One of their
New World is meant to be. I think I maybe saw something about New World, but I just couldn't. I didn't even read whatever the article was because I couldn't be arsed with it.
Yeah, let me just do a quick. It was quite concerns over microtransactions because they made a post about. I don't actually know the details of this, so it's a bit weird. But they posted on social media on Twitter on the 15th, which was 5 days ago. Because it's new world surrounding the plans to give people speed boost microtransactions. Classic. And what they did was they replied to people's concerns in the tweets. So having put together this huge PR statement and like just screen capped it for Twitter, it was Rich Lawrence, the studio director. Obviously, people were like, "So what's with these? What's with these? These?" I think I'll read out. Zakata replied to it in quotes: "The more players who are able to experience all our excited end game content and end game modes, the healthier it is for our players." And then that sounds to me like you want to rush people to the end game with boosts and other stuff. Sound really bad to me. Just let people enjoy the journey. And then New World's Twitter account replied, "It isn't about rushing people to the end game. It's about supporting people who don't have as much time to play and helping them reach the end game with the time available to them." So trying to justify bullshit speed boost microtransactions there. Someone else come back to him called Domes on Twitter. "If you see the content as skippable or not relevant, that buying a boost is a good way to get into real content, then you fail to create an interesting content progression, making leveling faster if you care about people wasting the time, or if endgame is all you care." And then again, New World Twitter account came back to try and defend this bullshit strategy. "MMOs take a tremendous time investment that not everyone has available. Boosts can be a way for someone who doesn't have time to get more out of the time they can play and support the game and community in another way."
Just if you put time skips, XP boosters, whatever shit you want to call them in your game, you are literally telling your players that your game wastes their time. It's ridiculous how anyone can think this is okay. So I found this is a brief Twitter thread, I think started on May 13th with a bit of patch notes about the game stuff. And then someone commented saying, "I watched a video where a YouTuber explains that you are looking to implement a pay-to-win system. Please don't kill the game like that. Put cosmetic, Azoth coins, or whatever, but nothing that makes the game pay-to-win," and a little sad face thing. The New World comes back, and I love the phrasing of this. It's so ridiculous. "We are aware that there are concerns around the storefront testing currently in alpha. To be clear, at launch, all of the items in the shop will be focused on cosmetics. There will be no boosts of any type for sale at launch. We will share more on our vision for microtransactions." So who has a vision for microtransactions? What the fuck kind of PR spin is that? But then this goon comes back, and I just think it's such a dumb statement. And he got 9 likes, so clearly people agree with him. "Imagine thinking an XP booster is pay to win. Of course it fucking is. You're paying money and getting XP faster, so you will win the game faster. Even if it's for the single player solo play stuff, because you can play MMOs by yourself, it's still fucking pay to win. You can try and justify it and jump through hoops for these companies all you like. They're making a game grindy and then selling you the solution. It's absurd, and I don't understand why you people put up with it.
Yeah, I mean, pay to win, a lot of people define it as, you pay for a better gun that's more powerful than other people. That's pay to win. Not saying that's not. But also, there are other types of pay to win. And just because that doesn't fall within that specific definition that you know what pay to win is, just because it doesn't fall into that box that you know, that you're familiar with, doesn't make this any less pay to win. This is pay to win. Stop being a dipshit and think about it with your own brain. Anyway, I've already had rant number one.
We've just got to define the terms. What does paying mean and what does winning mean? If winning means completing the game, and if paying means getting there faster by putting real money in, it is pay to win. Sorry, darling. I don't know how else to put it.
There you have it. New World. Stay away from it.
If it ever fucking comes out.
I don't fucking know.
I've not played it. Maybe it's a good game, but it's this people jumping through hoops to justify bullshit like this over and over again.
It's just funny. I think at this point, having done it for so many years and talked about this bullshit, we just got to point and laugh at these people because there's so much bullshit, and the gamers are now fighting against each other about this shit. It's like, are they being real? Like, how are they standing there supporting this bullshit?
You jump into bat companies for an enormous corporation, not just a big gaming company. It's literally fucking Amazon as well, the biggest company
one,
with one of the richest men in the world.
There you go.
I don't think they need your help.
There you go. Okay, back on track now. The last thing I want to talk about that happened this week that got my attention was Divinity Original Sin 2 is now on the iPad, and this was brought to my attention by Simply Phil on the Discord, so thanks very much for that. However, I had a look at it. I so want to play Divinity Original Sin. I've never played it. I so want to support it. Larian Studios is like Game of the Year 2017. A lot of people state it as one of the best games ever. It's like got cross-play between Steam and Nintendo Switch, and you can play it with multiplayer online, 4-player local co-op. It looks great. I'm talking about it from a person who's never played it. I played the original. That was good. But I'm thinking on the iPad, you've got this big screen. I thought about the Nintendo Switch. The screen is small. The Nintendo Switch hardware is dated. We'll get into that later on with the question that we got from Metalshark. I don't want to play it on Nintendo Switch. It's just not going to be optimal. So on the iPad, however, you got this big screen. You can there's loads of little boxes. The UI itself is, very congested with lots of things going on. I think that would be a great way to experience the game. And the fact that they've optimized it for the newer iPads is great. However, I don't have an iPad. And I'm not sure I can justify that expense. My kids have both got iPads because they play them at school. I'm thinking maybe if I buy it on their iPad and just steal their iPads, because they use them for their education. They take it to school every day. It means I can't play it during the day, but I can rob their iPads in an evening, and I'm not sure that I can. I'm not sure I can see that happening. So
I think you can get away with it. They're only small.
Yeah,
you can push them over.
Bring it out on Android, isn't it? Bring it out on Android.
Yeah.
Why this preference for iPad? I don't know. If I can use a tablet. I've got a decent tablet. Bring it on Android, and I'll be happy. But there you go.
I quite fancy Divinity Original Sin 2. It looks brilliant, but my big my sole barrier to it is it's such a time investment for an RPG of that scale with all those systems and mechanics and stuff. It looks great, but I'm like, I can't. I need a window where I can commit to something like that. But it does look brilliant.
Baldur's Gate coming out soon.
Yeah.
And that is, it's going to be the next Larian Studios game. And,
is this one turn-based? Is Divinity Original Sin 2 turn-based? Because there's a bunch of them I get mixed up. Is that so? Divinity Original Sin 2 and what's the other one I get it confused with? Pillars of Eternity. I always mix them up because I think they came out at a similar sort of time, and they're both big fantasy RPGs.
They did.
So
okay. So that's that then. That's our introduction gambit for this podcast. Let's move on to the question. This is a community focused podcast. We've gone heavy on the questions this week. So this is going to be the meat of this week's podcast. Let's jump straight in. But first up, we've got the Metalshark quiz of the week, which is my turn to be in the hot seat. So Henry,
you are the victim this time. Right, let's get it up. Is it this one? Okay, that's the correct one. Okay, a request quiz from Angry Hobbit for Gaz this week. It's a quick higher or lower, because he's busy this week, absolutely not a problem, and will be on pre-order numbers. The source for all figures is VG Charts USA pre-order chart data set ending 29th of December 2018. You couldn't find a more up-to-date accurate source, absolutely fine. Starting game will be Crackdown 3 on Xbox One with 40,540 pre-orders. So, going forward.
Starting small, Crackdown 3, 40,000. It's not a lot of pre-orders.
It's really not.
I mean, I should have experience with this. I've just had my time playing Game Dev Simulator or whatever it was called. And, getting pre-orders in was a good thing. So, yeah. Hit me, Henry. Take it away.
So, you got to decide whether it's higher or lower than... I assume the one that came before. So, in this case, it's higher or lower than 40,000. And then if this one is 100,000, it's higher or lower than that. So, did Mortal Kombat 11 on Xbox One receive more or less pre-orders than Crackdown 3 on Xbox One?
I don't...
MK11 or Crackdown?
Never played either of them. Not very familiar with both of these IP. I'm going to say more than 40,000 because it doesn't seem like a lot, 40,000. So, more.
I would have gone with that too, but apparently it's fewer at 35,254.
Shit.
I would have thought MK11 would do better. It's a very popular game.
Yeah.
Okay. Did Metro Exodus on PS4 receive more or less pre-orders than Mortal Kombat 11 on Xbox One? So Metro Exodus.
Metro Exodus had to have more because they were hyped for that was a lot more. I'd say a lot more.
You are correct, but it's only a little bit more at 40,665.
Wow.
Only a little bit more.
That is surprising.
Okay, so that's 1 out of 2 so far. Did Tom Clancy's The Division 2 on PS4 receive more or less pre-orders than Metro Exodus on PS4?
Okay, I just reread the question here. Source for all figures is the VG Charts USA pre-order, not global pre-order. So,
well, that's the point. And it is only on one console at a time, I suppose.
Yeah. I'm going to say more with The Division because it's Ubisoft and people do love a bit of Ubishaft.
Apparently not that many people, though, because it was fewer with 34,093.
There's no point even counting how many I'm getting right. I think I got 1 right out of 3.
I guess people were burnt on the first one because it got criticised for lack of content.
Yeah,
maybe they're worried about the same thing happening with the second one. Okay, next up. Did Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown on PS4 receive more or less pre-orders than Tom Clancy's The Division 2?
Has to be less.
Has to be. It's a much more niche game. Look, it's meant to be very, very good, but it's much more niche. Wow, it got more with 57,941.
It's the highest one yet. How does that get more than Metro? My goodness.
Well done, Ace Combat. That's great.
I feel like being in the USA might help us out here because the amount of money that goes into marketing and stuff will be completely different. You know, the things that will be advertised and things that get excited about.
Maybe they've just got more of a thing for jets.
Fighter pilots, like Top Gun and
Top
that,
Gun.
you know.
Okay, did Resident Evil 2, presumably remake, on Xbox One receive more or less pre-orders than Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown on PS4?
PS4 versus Xbox One. I'm going to say less because it's PS4 versus Xbox One, just simply for that fact.
You are quite right. It is 46,534.
And there are double the amount of PS4s out there, so that naturally means that more people were willing to buy games on PlayStation. So there you have it. Okay, so I've got 2?
Yep. Out of 5. All right. Did Days Gone on PS4 receive more or less pre-orders than Resident Evil 2 on Xbox One?
What was the figure for RE2 on Xbox?
46,534.
PlayStation, yeah, I'd say more.
More? You would be absolutely right with a whopping 139,289. Sony exclusive, man. Sony exclusive. They make money.
What was that guy saying about nobody buying it at launch of the week?
Yeah, I mean, clearly. Decent amount of people.
He's talking shit, man.
Okay, did Anthem on PS4 receive more or less than Days Gone on PS4? Surely not. Surely not.
Anthem, I'm going to say... I'm just on PS4. I'm going to say less.
Once again, you are right with a quite pitiful in comparison to the rest. 25,142.
There you have it.
Eat shit.
BioWare magic.
Did Sekiro Shadows Die Twice on PS4 receive more or less pre-orders than Anthem on PS4?
Another Sony exclusive. Has to be more. It has to be a lot more.
Only a little bit more. 27,403.
Wow.
Only just a smidge. But I guess because it is a Sony PlayStation exclusive, but it's not Sony first party, and because it's a Souls-like, Soulsborne, whatever the genre is called now, it's a bit more niche it's not for casual gamers or anything, whereas Anthem, I guess, is a bit more like that, but it still managed to beat it. Okay. I've completely stopped paying attention to how many you've got right. Did you get... I honestly can't remember.
I've got a 7 out of 7 so far, right?
Oh, yeah, doing really well.
It's around
I think you're on about 5.
Yeah.
Did Kingdom Hearts 3 on Xbox One receive more or less pre-orders than Sekiro Shadows Die Twice on PS4?
Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm going to say more.
More?
Yeah.
Right with... Ooh, that's quite good. 77,603.
It is a beloved franchise, that one.
It's got a lot of fans. It's meant madness to me. I don't understand any of it, but people like it. Okay, final one. This is an interesting kind of spin question. Did Kingdom Hearts 3 on Xbox One receive more or less pre-orders than Kingdom Hearts 3 on PS4? So which platform had the most pre-orders?
Did Xbox One have more than PS4? No. Yes. I don't think so. PS4 is going to have more.
You are absolutely right with 355,927.
There's double the amount of PS4s out in the world. Plus, you're talking about Kingdom Hearts that's made in the East, right?
Yeah,
made
Japanese game on a Japanese console.
Which is where Sony is, and Xbox isn't huge there. So yeah.
So you did all right. I think you got 7 in the end.
Yeah,
maybe 6. I can't really remember.
It because I got like 4. I got 3 of the first 4 wrong or something, and then I kind of pulled it out at the end. I don't know what happened there.
There were a couple of shockers there. The Division 2 pre-ordering that poorly, and then Ace Combat doing that well. You know, good for Ace Combat, man. That's great. Yeah. I like seeing that.
Yeah, that was a shocker. That, like I said, it's probably, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe a culture thing with the UK. Maybe they didn't promote it. Maybe it's not a big IP in the UK, and they just push it in the US more. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just naive. But thanks as always to Metalshark and this week Angry Hobbit for the requesting this quiz. As always, we appreciate the effort that you go to, Metalshark.
Indeed,
keeps our little brains working. That's for sure. Okay,
sometimes struggling.
Yeah, absolutely struggling. Let's move on to the other questions for this week from the community, and I'd like to say thank you to everyone who does support us on Patreon for helping us continue to bring the content, because without you guys, we would not be able to afford to pay our bills while generating content on YouTube. If you do want to support us, head over to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming and help us continue. And this last week we've had 2 signups. Zach Blinkley contributes $1 per month. Thank you very much to you, sir. And Albatross, $5 per month. Woo! We appreciate that. Again, every single dollar counts, and every one of you, we are very grateful towards for your contributions, because like I said, we couldn't do it without you. You can also sign up for the YouTube memberships too on the main channel, not on this channel, which is our separate podcast channel now. You can sign up there and get rewards such as early access to the podcast. You can access questions on the Discord, and what was the other one? What was the other one, Henry? There's usually 3.
I don't
just
know what
general,
we do here.
General well-being, a feeling of knowing that you're supporting us, which is awesome. Yeah, access to the members only Discord channels. That was it. Okay, with that in mind, let's jump to the questions from the Discord the Discord members this week. And first up, we have Future Proof. I like this question. Simple yet challenging question this week. Name your top 5 Switch games of all time. Doesn't matter if they're also on other platforms. Henri.
Don't make me go first. I can't.
I'll give you a chance to think. I've already prepared this because I know my top 5. It's easy for me. So in no particular order, although it is kind of in a particular order. Number 1, Golf Story. Hands down, one of my favourite experiences on the Switch. My second choice is Diablo 3. I love that bit of RPG action. There's something connected with Diablo 3. I just liked it. It was awesome. I'd never played any of the previous Diablos, and never played them on any other platform, but it kind of worked for me. Skyrim is my third choice. Skyrim on the Switch, you say? Yeah, I played that for ages and I loved it. I do love Skyrim. Do love me a bit of Skyrim. I like to play it on the go whenever I want to too. The fourth choice was Hades. That is just a spectacular game for the Switch. I think that is should be higher up on my list, but Hades is there in the top 5. The last one is The Outer Worlds. Again, another RPG, but I do love my RPGs, and I do love to be able to play them on the Switch. Not my preferred way of playing, but it's a great experience nonetheless. A couple of honourable mentions, or 3 honourable mentions. Human Resource Machine. I played that while I was on holiday a couple of years ago. That is a good game. It's basically learn how to code in a game form, which is awesome. It's really good, really engaging. City Skylines was a decent game. All these obviously better experiences on other platforms, but they're really solid Switch ports, that's for sure. And The Witcher 3 gets an honourable mention too, because I didn't really connect. I've never really completed The Witcher 3, but for what it is and what they've been able to achieve with that port, it deserves to be on my honorable mention list. So those are my... If you're just picking up a Switch now and you're like, oh, what games do I pick up? You need to play Golf Story, Diablo 3, Skyrim, Hades, Outer Worlds, Human Resource Machine, City Skylines, and The Witcher 3. You will not be disappointed. Now, Henry, have you had enough time to think about your choices?
I'm struggling because I can't even remember which games I own on Switch, because I think I pick up little indies, play them, love them, and then I uninstall them so they're not on my my home screen, so I can't remember what I've even played. Number one is probably going to have to be Smash Bros, because I've played so much with it. I still regularly play it with mates, and it's just the best one. I mean, the Smash community likes to come around Melee being the best one, but I feel like that's because it's generally probably the one most people played first, and that kicked off the competitive scene. But Smash Ultimate, it's just got everything from all of them. What more do you need? So that's probably it. Closely followed by Hades, because I bloody love Hades, and I keep kind of wanting to dip back into it, but I know if I do, I may not come out again. I may relapse into the addiction. It's one of the only roguelikes that I actually really, really like. It's not a genre I particularly click with. Third's probably it's kind of a... Well, I don't think it is a cop-out answer, but it's one that is kind of expected from a Switch game. It's Mario Kart. Mario Kart 8. I play it all the time, again, with my mates in a multiplayer thing. My go-to character is either Waluigi or Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong is hilarious because he dabs sometimes when he goes over a jump, which is really cringy and embarrassing, but it's quite funny. Now it's the next two which I'm having a hard time with, because those three, they were obvious, like straight off the top of my head. Boom.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild is probably going to take one of those spots. None of these are in any particular order. It's just kind of a smish. Breath of the Wild, because when you go over that you come out of the chamber at the beginning, you look over the horizon, it's very impressive, especially as one of the first games you can play on Switch and be like, oh wow, the Switch can do this. Then you watch your battery level absolutely tank, because it's so demanding. But I really like Breath of the Wild. It's
funny you should mention Breath of the Wild, because that's one of the games that was compared to Biomutant in the trailer this week. Can you confirm or deny
I don't know.
that Biomutant plays like Breath of the Wild?
I've not played either of them. I haven't even played Breath of the Wild. What are you saying? Who said that? No, not me.
I tried, guys. I tried. Sorry. I mean, brick walled again, but there we go. I can't say I didn't try.
And then I really don't know what my fifth one would be, because I've played, like, Carrion was really fun on Switch. I never finished it, but I really liked playing Astral Chain. That was really good. Picking one is really difficult. Maybe, what was it called? Ori. One of the Oris. I think which is the first one? Is it Ori in the Blind Forest? I think is the first one. That was really, really good. I really liked Ori. That was just cute and nice. Yeah, fuck it. I'll stay that. Hades and Smash are my top two. They can flip-flop depending on my mood. The other three can go kind of anywhere.
So you got 3 Nintendo first-party games there. So it's a good showing for Nintendo in your list.
When they hit hard, man. Like they know what they're doing and are good at it, and no one else can do it the way they do.
There you
have it. So if you want that Nintendo fix, they're the only one who can give you that particular type of drug.
There you have it. Thanks for the question, Future Proof.
Well, now kind of continuing the Nintendo train right now, we've got a question from Tons, which is it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
For its topic.
Just a note for you here. What I've put in italics here is what I've added.
Yeah. Okay. I'll read the question then.
Just for clarity, so we can understand the question better.
So, Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword is getting a Switch port coming on July 16th. Why they would go with the most boring of the 3D Zeldas is beyond me, but here we are. Now, with this release comes special Joy-Cons and, of course, an Amiibo. Amiibo, just in case you aren't aware, is one of those little figures, a physical thing in the real world, and then you can touch it on your Joy-Con and it will then do something in the game. Sometimes it's a skin, sometimes it's like resources. So, this one, an Amiibo, lets you skip a frustrating piece of game design in said game. How do you guys feel about this? To me, this is the same bullshit Ubisoft does with time savers, XP boosters, just another paywall to feed some greedy bastards. Yes, it's the same thing, just different. But I want to quickly say, on paper, I actually really like the idea of amiibos and toys to life stuff. I think it's really cool concept that you can buy a thing in the real world and then have it represented in game. Like, what was the game? It was the worst example of it was it was the Star Fox game, but what was it called? It wasn't called Star Fox, but it was basically that.
The Ubisoft one.
You bought
Starlink
like a ship
or something, right?
Yeah, that might be it. Starlink. You bought a ship with different parts. You could like take off a wing and replace it with another wing with a bigger gun and stuff. And that was cool. But part of its problem was that when your ship blew up, you were fucked and had to like basically outright buy a new one. I can't remember if that's the case because that is so extreme in how bad that is. I don't know if I can actually, if I just made it up.
Yeah.
I like in theory where you can buy something in the physical world, it can go on a shelf and look cool, and then it can exist in the game. But almost every single time, the monetization of it is so bad. And this is exactly the same as what Ubisoft does with time savers.
Yeah, well, just for clarity, I didn't know anything about this, so I looked it up. And the game, I saw a video on how this works and what the game does. So obviously, if anyone's familiar with Skyward Sword, you know how it works. You can travel to the airborne overworld by going to this one place on the map. You physically have to walk there to get there. It takes a lot of time. With this amiibo, you just press it against the controller and it lets you go to the overworld really quickly from anywhere. So
it's fast travel.
You can fast travel to the overworld from anywhere, even in the dungeons. So it cuts out a lot of moving around and wasting time. Essentially, this amiibo costs $25 just for a game and mechanic. That is absolutely ridiculous.
It's
that
obscene.
Is the worst decision. You talked a little bit before about Nintendo doing Nintendo games right, and they offer this little. They get away with so much bullshit because of that. Like
that's what I was going to get into with this one. Yeah, they get a free pass because they have this wholesome. It's not extreme violence. It's not gory. There's no nudity or swearing. It's just cute little wholesome games. And then they pull dodgy ass business practices and they could totally get away with it. This is bullshit.
This is a game mechanic. This is literally, you can't do this thing in your game unless you pay an extra £25. But it's all right because you get this cute little toy with it, and it's all,
does it even
kids
look
will like it. It will be fine. But our game is literally worse unless you play for the premium thing. Oh, fuck off. Fuck off, Nintendo. You shouldn't be doing this. This is scamming your players.
Yes, 100%.
This is bullshit. And you're pulling the wool over your loyal fan base who support you and defend you to the hilt about anything. And they're brainwashed. They're literally brainwashed by for this bullshit. They don't see that this is them being taken advantage of. This is bullshit. We should rally against this more.
Yeah, it's a joke.
It's stuck on over with me. It certainly has.
Yeah.
It's funny. You just got to laugh at it these days, otherwise you'll get depressed by getting fucking annoyed. So, Nintendo,
like I said,
shit out.
I think the concept of an amiibo could be really cool if you took a free-to-play game like a Fortnite where they've got a million different skins. You can get the Fortnite action figures. They're like that big in a little box. They see them in shops. If they put with that toy a code to get that skin in game, that would be a really cool thing. You could I don't know, I just like this. I like the sound of that. When I was a kid, I had loads of toys, all different things. Star Wars was like the best thing in the world. I mean, still is the best thing in the world. But if I could then take that and put it in a game, I just think that is cool. And if I was a kid, I would have really, really been excited by that. But putting it in a premium fucking game for starters, charging $24.99
a couple of points here. Yeah, that? You're talking Skyward Sword is retailing for £50. This isn't a free-to-play game. It's 50 quid outright.
It's a port. It's an old game.
It's a port of an old game. Another point is most amiibos on the store are $15. Most amiibos are $15. This one is $25. Why is that? Because they know that the suckers are going to mop this shit up and they're going to be cashed in. Goodness
but this
me.
amiibo, it's like 2-in-1. Instead of just having Link standing on it, you've got Zelda and this blue bird thing. I've not played the game. Maybe it's contextually explained. This is a joke, and they will definitely get a free pass for it. I didn't know anything about this until today because nobody's talking about it.
It's so bad. Is it even 50? Is it 60 quid? I don't know. Let me have a look here.
Nintendo's shop. It probably is. No, not Nintendo Switch. My
internet's it's 50 or 60 quid. Either way, it's fucking extortionate. And then you're talking the overpriced amiibo on top of that for a game, in-game, game mechanic. Fuck off, Nintendo. Fuck right off. And there's no wonder that none of their games are on my list for the top Switch games.
That's true. Well, and I do think it's funny, as Tons points out, I've not played most Zelda games. I've played only a couple. You say this is the most boring of 3D Zelda games. So it's not even one of the good ones, according to
the gameplay looks janky. Have you seen it? The way that the guy moves, it's like, really? You've remade? Is it a remaster, remake, whatever?
It's got motion controls because you're meant to swing your Wii remote to swing your sword, but they've changed that so that it's now on button prompts. Which, I mean, it's probably better for a more traditional gaming experience because generally motion controls suck. But I don't know how well that's going to work if it's built for motion controls. You know what I mean?
To try and retroactively
change it.
You can still play with
I think you can still do it, yeah.
But the wonky animations are still there. Like, what? At least fix that. You're remaking this game. You're charging 50 quid for it. Like, at least make the animations look up to date and not just, it's how people used to play it, people's nostalgia and all that. But bullshit, man. The game development's changed. Like, you can make his wonky walk look better. God, mate. Anyway, I could rant all day. Thanks, Tons. Let's move on. Cloney is next. And this is directed at you because I don't have any feelings towards this one, or the first one at least. The Snyder Cut will finally be available for streaming in Germany next Thursday, apart from Sky's Cinema, which is another €40 subscription or whatever. So I'm annoyed by this staggered release and how I wasn't able to watch it after waiting so long that I am kind of losing interest in the DC cinematic universe because of it. There was nothing for so long and now they hold me back. How do you feel about staggered releases? Have you ever played a game at release day just to realise it's staggered and you stayed up for nothing? Had that issue with Diablo 3 where the release was just botched though and the service crashed. How do you feel about having to wait, especially as a news channel trying to stay away from spoilers but having to report on the new release as well?
I think the context of being a news channel really changes my thoughts on it. But to quickly talk about Snyder Cut, it released on, what's it called? What their service? HBO Max. But HBO Max is basically not available anywhere apart from the US, so they've had to do deals with other companies to get it. It was available a little bit later here, I think. It wasn't super late after. It's really shit. Now TV. Now TV sucks. The interface is so bad. It's not as bad as Disney Plus, but that's a whole different rant. Literally, anytime me and my girlfriend watch anything on Disney Plus, we're screaming at the screen because it just doesn't fucking work. It's you're the biggest entertainment company on the planet. Fix it, okay? Rant over. Staggered releases. That's the actual question here, rather than Snyder Cut specifically. I think it for like a release of a film or something like this, I think it's so shit because it fractures everything and it means avoiding spoilers is an absolute nightmare. However, staggered releases for games when it comes to like
episodic games like the Life is Strange was one that was episodic.
Well, that's a good example of that because it's built to be like that.
Yeah.
A story's been told that way. What I was getting at is different versions of it on different platforms. So if the PS4 version is ready, release that and then do the upgraded one PS5 whenever you are ready, rather than releasing them both at the same time. Like what we were talking about, Cyberpunk was a total disaster on last gen consoles. So what they should have done, if it's ready to go on PC, pop it out on PC. It'll make a little bit of money then. Then when it's ready on the standard consoles, the older ones, which would probably be never realistically, but for this hypothetical scenario, then release it on Xbox One and PS4, and then when it's ready for PS5 and an Xbox Series X, then do it like that. I think that's totally fine. I think that really works. But for a movie, I think it breaks it up. And one of the reasons I actually really enjoyed some of the Marvel shows on Disney Plus is because they're released week to week, so you can all enjoy that period together over quite a long time. I don't like binging everything in one go, like Netflix's model, because then you talk about it and then it's gone, and if you come to it late, it's like no one gives a shit anymore. And I've sort of I've overthought my own thought. I've overwritten it, and I can't remember what my actual point was. But I don't think staggered releases. Sometimes it's unavoidable. A lot of the times it's legal things or distribution things based on certain countries' laws. Like you're from Germany, you'll know that some of their censorship rules, especially on video games, are ridiculous, and then places like Australia are even worse. So that can kind of do it, and I can kind of understand it, but it still sucks. I don't really like it. In terms of news coverage, that's a real pain for me when it comes to games, because there's games like Resident Evil 8, which I really want to get, but I just don't have like time in it for with my life right now. And like I said before, I want to play it with some of my mates so we can enjoy the horror experience together. But it's been out a week now, maybe a little more, 2 weeks I think. And people are already forgetting about it. The world is moving on to the next best thing or the next new thing, and you don't get to. It's quite fun to be part of things when it's popping off as it's happening, and then you just kind of feel late. And because of this channel, if I wanted to play Resident Evil then talk about it on the podcast, I'd be super late. It'd be a waste of time. No one would give a shit. Some people would, but it's like it's a done conversation. What could I really bring to it that anyone else hasn't already talked about? So that frustrates me, not being able to play games when I want to. But I mean, it's kind of the nature of the beast. I don't think there's any way to avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for games with with limited resources. You're developing on certain platforms. Multiple platforms is very difficult for development, because you just got spinning too many plates essentially. And Cyberpunk is a prime example of not having the right resources in the right place, and maybe they're doing better just stick into polishing off the PC and then focusing on everything else after that. Because obviously I want PC first and screw the consoles, but that's just me. I've got no thoughts on the Snyder Cut. I'm not, I'm not familiar with any of that. So yeah, thanks for that question, Cloney, and hopefully you got some answers. Next up, we've got a bevy of questions from Metalshark. Some of them there's more meat to them than the others, or I've got more of an answer to than the others. So let's start off then. Assuming the Ubisoft game Skull and Bones comes out next year, and assuming you both play it willingly, what backstory and attributes would your ideal pirate have?
I love it. Assuming you both play it willingly, as opposed to being forced into it or something. I mean, your classic pirate thing is that they were a sailor in the British colonial navy, but then they were like, fuck that, fuck the king, I want to be free. And that's the romanticized version of piracy that we know from like Hollywood and stuff. In reality, though, a lot of them were absolute scumbags who just found their way onto a ship as like a deckhand and then stuck with it just because it's not a job, but it's a means to get food and live, and maybe just get pissed all day, every day. And when you're not doing that, you're murdering and pillaging, which is something, again, it's difficult to Hollywoodify the raping and pillaging that pirates did a lot of the time, and transporting slaves just because it's an easy way to make money. Then you'd steal slaves from I don't know, the Spanish and then sell them to the English. There's a lot of controversy there, and that's what I want to see tackled. But no way is anyone going to have the balls to try or the skills to approach something so delicate. Certainly fucking not Ubisoft.
Yeah. All right. Thinking about backstory then and attributes, like all good pirates have got an eye patch, right? We know that. So
on that note, for Skull and Bones, in one of the trailers, the guy's wearing his eye patch backwards, and it fucks me right off when I was watching it the other day, because it's meant. So normally you've got it like going like that. There's a strap. Sometimes there's another one going there. His straps went across the other side of his face. What? I didn't know you could wear an eye patch backwards, but he was wearing an eye patch backwards. Look it up. It fucked me up. I was like, what are you doing? Like, you're a pirate. You're meant to be cool. Sure ain't cool.
Skull and Bones.
Look, where did you see this? He's in one of the trailers. Skull and Bones.
I've got to see this.
It should just be on Google Images, I'm pretty sure. Let's see if we can find. No, he's in like a blue like naval officer coat thing.
He's got his straps coming this way.
Yeah. See, you found him.
What? Yeah. Why?
They're going
How's that work?
It looks so stupid.
Well,
anyway.
He's got straps. Yeah, I see. Yeah, that is stupid. You're absolutely right. Okay, so I think the myth is that that a pirate wears a patch because it keeps one eye in the dark. So when he goes below the deck, he takes the patch off and he can see clearly because his eye is used to being in the dark. I think that is
really okay.
Yeah, because it helps him be able to see in the dark. Because either that or they've just lost an eye, and I'm going to go with losing an eye. So how did my character lose an eye? He got pecked off by my parrot because I didn't give him enough pieces of 8. I only give him pieces of 7. You know what? Dad jokes are awesome. I'll get into that later. But that was a bad joke, wasn't it?
Well, would you rather have an eye patch, a hook hand, or a peg leg? Because they're the collection of disabilities.
I need both my hands. So I've got an eye patch. I'm happy to lose one eye. That's fine.
I think I'd quite like a hook hand. I think that'd be cool. Get some nasty mangled claw to fuck up people with.
I think my story will be that my main motivation in life is to get revenge on my fucking pirate, right? So, my parrot, sorry. Because he bit my eye out, I'm going to get my vengeance on him. But he's gone to take up residence with another pirate, a local pirate. So I'm seeking out this other pirate, not to kill the pirate, not to kill all them, not to plunder all their stuff, but to kill this effing parrot who pecked out my eye. I think that's my backstory. Although it's not much of a backstory, it gives me motivation.
A motivation. I think I'd quite like to be motivated by hunting like mythological creatures, like big old krakens and shit. I think that'd be fun. Chances are he'd never find anything, or like the big Moby Dick white whale. That'd be pretty sweet.
There you have it. That's the first question. Moving on to the second. Do you want to take this?
With the DLSS causing latency issues with COD, how will it fare in VR with No Man's Sky? Do either of you have any thoughts on DLSS?
I have literally zero, unfortunately.
I can't even remember what DLSS is.
Deep learning super sampling. We even have to Google this shit.
Is this the one which is dynamic resolution, say? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it changes on the fly based on your performance.
Yeah. So it's sorry Metalshark. We should be more informed about this stuff.
And it's too technical for our simpleton brains.
The question was literally, do you either of you have any thoughts? No. But thanks for the question anyway. We did put a call out for more questions this week, so you've fulfilled that. Unfortunately, we haven't got any answers for that one. Let's move on. With Genshin Impact working on mobile phones, but not the Nintendo Switch due to hardware limitations, are either of you hyped for the Switch Pro? Will you bother getting one if they release it, or happy with the Switch as it is? I'm in two minds now, but Genshin Impact working on mobile phones. Mobile phones are better than Nintendo Switch now, because Genshin Impact will not play on the Nintendo Switch because it's so old-fashioned, outdated. They said recently that it's halfway through its life cycle. The Nintendo Switch is halfway through its life cycle, and it can't even play a mobile game now. Like, what does that tell you? Come on, Nintendo. Stop focusing on shoddy, overpriced bullshit amiibos and give us what we need. We need a higher spec Nintendo Switch. We need a Nintendo Switch Pro, and we need it ASAP. We can't be like 15 frames a second round Witcher 3 and all that all for the next 3-4 years. Give us what the gamers want. Not this bullshit taking out new game features and monetizing them $25. That's bullshit. Give us a Nintendo Switch Pro. But only then, once you announce it, I'll give it a good assessment. I talked a couple of weeks ago. I'm getting on my rant horse now about mobile games being. I see a big future for mobile games versus streaming and all that. Right. The fact that this week the Vintage Original Sin 2 is coming, it's full fat, pretty much format to iPads. It's further testament to me. To my theory that is going to be the way forward. Nintendo Switch is so far behind these technologies now. It's laughable, absolutely laughable. We want good hardware. We want the best games on the newest hardware. The Switch is old. It's like, it's 4 years old now. It's too old. It's too slow. The Nintendo Switch Lite, it was even worse, and that's the newest one. That is the worst one. What are you doing? I don't know. I would much rather buy a iPad Pro and play Divinity Original Sin 2 on it for $1,000 or whatever they are. They're fucking expensive. I'd much rather do that than support any other shitty. I bet you if they do bring out a Nintendo Switch Pro, it won't be anything like an iPad in terms of what it can do. And the new processors that they put in iPad these days, the M1s, oh my god, they are amazing. This year's new, I just saw a review yesterday. This year's processor is a 30% faster than last year's. A 30% year on year is amazing in terms of power. Power usage is lower, and all that. By all the metrics, it's that much better. And Apple are doing great things in that space at the moment. What are you doing, Nintendo? You should feel ashamed. Seppuku to you.
I mean, I've got nothing to add. you've just got it all. Yeah. I mean, a Switch Pro high performance would be cool, but if a phone can run Genshin now, a phone will be able to run it other games then. Like the phones that, because of their industry, they're much more frequently updated and new models coming out. It's not entirely a good thing. It's not entirely a bad thing. It means you can get passed out of the market pretty quick. But yeah, a better Switch would be great. But the thing is, I still probably wouldn't jump on it straight away. It'd have to, wait for reviews and everything and see how significant the performance improvement really is. Because most of what I play on my Switch is indie games anyway, apart from big games like Smash Bros. And Mario Kart. But it's something we need.
Yeah, absolutely. We needed it 2 years ago, not fucking now. Because by the time they release it, it's going to be out of date anyway. Because that's how Nintendo roll. That's how they roll, and there won't be enough of them. And then we'll be paying scalpers again. But that's what we got to live with. I'm firing all barrels today, like any good pirate would be. Let's move on.
Okay, do you want me to say this one? With the AI real-world work by Intel to make GTA look like real life, is this an aesthetic you'd like to see more in games? Oh no, I've just completely lost my place as I was trying to follow a link. Right, so Metalshark has sent us this link, which is something about photorealism in GTA. Am I? Is this? That's not GTA. That's far too impressive.
Yeah, that is GTA. But then you look.
The resolution of this video is only 720, which is kind of doing it a disservice, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a good point. Intel ISL YouTube channel, sort your shit out. 720. You're trying to show off your technology to do with visual fidelity, photorealism, and you're uploading in 720. What the hell is that? Unless YouTube's fucked you over with the compression or whatever.
Which is the most likely option.
But yeah, this looks really good. It's still unclear to me. I've watched the video. It's still unclear to me whether this is the real time, whether you're playing the game and it's doing that to the to the footage after being rendered. I don't know. But whatever.
They've completely retextured a bunch of stuff. Like the roads look completely different.
But it's based on a set of photographs that they've taken from from the environments in Germany. It's very color. They've the contrast is really low and
it's desaturated.
The colors aren't great, but it does look photorealistic to compared with the original. Whether you'd want to play it like that though, I mean,
that's the thing. Great. Certainly in passing, it looks impressive and it is certainly passes for photoreal, absolutely. But whether I really am that fussed about playing a game that looks like that, I mean, it depends how well it runs. Because that footage, like you said, it's only 720 and the frame rate's not great. But as long as it performs well and can look good, which is the toss-up. But GTA looks great as it is anyway. I don't think it needs to. No, I would love it. Much work done.
I would love photorealism in games, and I think the more that these realistic games become like that, the better. Especially for VR in the future and stuff. It's like being in the Matrix, isn't it?
VR's good.
I think the closer we get to photorealism, the better. And this reminded me of something earlier. I watched last night the third episode of Love, Death and Robots. Have you watched this season?
I've not
2?
caught up on the new series yet. I didn't even know it was out until like yesterday, and I was like, "Where is this? What?"
I was just reflecting on how awesome some of those animations are these days. Photorealistic. They're obviously animations, but they look amazing. Some of the environments and the worlds, it's like amazing. And then I thought back to a question we had the other week about how games companies could supplement their incomes when they're, to try and offset the low points when they're not making a lot of revenue when they're in the middle of developing or whatever. To try and have more some more revenue stability rather than trying to rip people off with microtransactions. What else could they do? And I think one of my suggestions was, they can maybe work with animation studios, maybe do some films and stuff like that. But looking at Love, Death and Robots, I'm pretty sure game development company can pull off some animation like that and do like short videos. I've been watching Dust on YouTube, I mentioned last week, a lot recently. And they're just like short sci-fi videos uploaded to YouTube, and millions of people watch them. I'm thinking that like games development studios put their animation team and their story writing team together and come up with like short story video. Who is it? Blizzard do it with the Overwatch shorts that they put out. Yeah. They're really cool. Like a lot of people love them. But I would love to see a game dev studio. Imagine this: just opening up a YouTube channel and just posting short sci-fi animations to YouTube. Like, they'd get viewers because of the publicity for it. And maybe that's a new outlet for them to try and, keep people going. I might not make a lot of money for it. They might get a contract from Netflix to do some short animation thingies, like Love, Death and Robots, for example. You never know. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent, but...
It was. It doesn't sound unreasonable to me. A lot of big figures in gaming these days actually came from... films. Who was the guy? He was at Naughty Dog, then he went to Crystal for Avengers, and now he's back at Naughty Dog. Sean S. He's got an unusual surname. Esgag, I think his name is. He is a film animator, and then went into gaming, and now that's what he does. And Naughty Dog, for all of their faults, their animation is second to none. And a lot of them are, the big Crunch article about it, said that a lot of them were taken from the films industry. So there is clearly at least some overlap in skills. I mean, it's going to be slightly different tech and applied slightly differently, but it doesn't seem outside the realm of possibility. I'm sure there will be like roadblocks and stuff, reasons they can't do it. But I just love to see it. I'd love to see...
I'd love to see that
kind of stuff. Even if it's not based on the game content. Well, it could be, but even if they went and did something completely different.
I would love to see... the Last of Us animation, for example, shorts about the lore and how the world, this little stories, short stories about like the characters in the world and what happened to them. It doesn't have to be more than 10 minutes.
Give me like a 5-10 minute like a bottle episode of a guy in a room where he's got like one bullet and he's got to figure out do I kill them or do I kill myself?
That's what I want.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
That's what I want, and the more of that type of stuff, the better. But yeah, that was a tangent based on a random question about photorealism in games. But thanks, Metalshark. We've got one more. Shall I read this?
Go on.
Final one from Metalshark. With storage prices looking to go up, speculation based on facts, he says in brackets, was 1 terabyte too little on new consoles? Yes. I think we knew that the moment they fucking announced them, right? It's how many? It's one Call of Duty. Is that 1 terabyte? Like how many?
That's the new unit.
Gigabytes? Yeah.
I would like a storage capacity of 5 Call of Duties, please. That's it. I keep uninstalling and then reinstalling shit on my PC, but capturing loads of gameplay as well takes up so much space, and I keep meaning to get like an external drive where I can just put all of my gameplay on that, but I don't because I'm lazy and blah, blah, blah. I will do it eventually. But the games, for instance, like Outriders and Nier Replicant. I had so much footage of that. Half of it, more than half of it, I didn't even use in any videos or whatever, because it's better to have too much than too little. Then I've just got all of this, and I'm reluctant to delete it, because I'm like, well, what if I need it again? What if I end up talking about it? It's unlikely. I mean, I uninstalled Nier yesterday because I finished it. I got all the endings. I don't really need to do anything with it. Outriders, I should go back to it, but I'm probably not going to.
Yeah.
But yeah, terabyte is far too little for the new consoles, and we're only at the start. They're only going to get bigger. The games are just going to keep getting bigger. Before long, your Red Dead Redemption file size, that's going to be the standard. There'll be an indie game that eventually gets up to 100 gigs in storage space.
Yeah, absolutely. And thinking about, you got to future-proof your consoles, man. 1 terabyte isn't a lot, and now prices are going up. You just screwed us all, didn't you? You screwed us all. Yeah, you can plug in your other SSDs. Come on, man. Come on. Anyway, there you have it. Thanks for all those questions, Metalshark. We've got 2 left. You want to take the first one, and then I'll take the second one.
Okay, this one is once again here from Tons. WB Games, as in Warner Bros. Games, getting split up and the studios being sold, and what that could mean for the industry. So this is... it's kind of more complicated, and it's kind of more simple than it sounds at the same time. So Warner Bros. Have not like sold themselves or anything like that. It's like more like a merger, a fusing of some Warner Bros. Stuff, which is all owned by AT&T. So that has been fused with a company called Discovery, and I'm pretty sure that's like the Discovery Channel and all that crap. Mm-hmm. But the complicated part is what WB Games, or Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment for its proper department title, has kind of got caught up in the mix, and it's a bit spooky as to what's going where, and it seems to be that some have gone with this new Discovery venture, and some have stayed put. It's a bit unclear, but I think everything about WB Games is unclear, because it doesn't seem like they know what they're doing at all, and they're busy patenting their only unique gameplay innovation that they've had in ever, and not letting anyone else use it. But anyway, the question itself, though, what does this mean for the industry? I don't really think it means that much. This sort of stuff happens all the time. Warner are quite a big publisher, but I mean, this doesn't at all surprise me. They've been shopping around, selling off parts of itself, specifically the games division as well, for a while, but some of those deals didn't end up happening. There was talk for a while that maybe Sony or Microsoft would pick up WB Games, which would be an interesting development, but it happens all the time. None of this, I don't see this shaking up anything in the slightest. It's just the status quo. It is what it is. It's more business. Yeah,
big companies buying each other out, merging, whatever they do. Hopefully doesn't affect our games or whatever. There you have it.
Every now and then I see stuff about AT&T are supposedly in trouble because they own loads of shit. AT&T, as in the security company, they own so many different little entertainment things. They own a bunch of YouTube stuff, like what's the big one? Rooster Teeth. They own Rooster Teeth.
Right.
But yeah, every now and then there's something comes out that they're in dire straits, and they're trying to sell off different things to different places. Sometimes they go through, sometimes they don't. But this means nothing for the wider games industry. It's just another corporate deal. Hopefully the games don't suffer.
Behind closed doors thing. Thanks anyway for the question, Tons. And the very last one here is not a patron question. This is a question that somebody specifically came to the Discord to ask, but he's not a patron. Orville Scotty. We don't normally do this, but he asked specifically for us to ask this question. The question was huge, so I'm going to give you the abridged version. So it's a lot shorter in this form. And it basically goes like this. The game Outriders...
Jesus, that question is long. Sorry, I'm just reading through it. That's at least 4 paragraphs.
The game Outriders makes reference to a woman who gives birth on the battlefield. There's also a half-naked pregnant woman in Wolfenstein 2 who mows down Nazis. And there's pregnant women in the combat zones in The Last of Us 2. So the question was, after all that information, are there too many pregnant women on the battlefield in video games these days? And is this motivated by politics? Henry?
I mean, I can't lie to you. It's not something I've ever really considered.
Yeah, that was exactly my reaction.
Are there too many pregnant women in video games? But then I suppose you give a few examples, so okay, maybe. The one that really pissed me off. Well, not pissed me off. Even that's too much. I'm not angry about it. But in The Last of Us 2, when what's her fucking name? Meg, Mel. I think Mel.
Yeah.
She goes out on a mission, and she's not just pregnant. She's
not
heavily
8 months pregnant.
She
right?
is massive.
She's ready. She's
What
like
the
a
fuck
grape
are
ready
you
to
doing?
pop.
Yeah, and they just let her do it, and she's an important member of the team. She's like a doctor or something, a medical person. What the hell are you doing? She doesn't need to go out there. She literally has no need to go out there, and she got what she fucking deserved, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that was harsh. Not the direction I was expecting it to go. The thing that occurs to me is that these are fucked up worlds, universes. Like, everything's fucked up in these universes, and it's all hands to the pumps as far as I'm concerned. Like, if you got a baby in your belly, the survival of that baby is less important than the survival of the human race. So, The Last of Us 2 as a prime example, there's all sorts of shit. Yeah, okay, you can argue, maybe she should stay in. She's 8 months pregnant. Yeah, maybe she could. That's all fine and well. But, women are all about equality these days, right? And why should they have priority to look after themselves just because they're pregnant?
Because they're the priority to the creature that's growing inside them.
If they want to be equal, to give up their lives and save the human race as men are, I'm not going to stand in their way. I'm not going to have any problem with them sacrificing themselves and their future offspring.
These are fictional characters, so that they don't actually have choice in anything. It's whatever the writers decide to do with them. Yeah. But in the fiction of the universe, if that character decides to, knowing full well that it's a fucking stupid idea, then why not?
Why not?
Although
Let
the question
fucking die.
Is this political? I mean, what political potential message would this be trying to send?
Okay, women empowerment. Like, it's like we're strong.
You can still
women,
do everything.
We're strong women, and we're awesome, and we're pregnant. We're 8 months pregnant, and we can still do what we want. We can still, pushing that feminist agenda where we're stronger and better than men. I'm probably mischaracterizing the feminist movement entirely there, but the point is, women are good and strong. They don't need no men to help them. That kind of political message that the writers could be.
Maybe.
Push. I don't see that though. I think I play the games. I play the games without that in my head, and I think that's the main difference between me and Orville Scotty here. Is that I don't see the political agenda, and all I see is.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I just see, they've written it. Okay, maybe they've got that in their heads when they're writing it, but that I don't care about that. I don't give a shit about their political agenda. I'm playing a video game to escape from the real world, and I know people might say, "Well, we're trying to escape from the real world and throwing politics into games." It's just a woman with a babe. It's not real. Get over it, man. They're not in. Yeah, I don't know.
Context is everything. It can be justified. You can justify virtually anything in a narrative. I mean, if a interesting example of a pregnant character in a apocalypse setting, excuse me, is Emily Blunt's character in A Quiet Place, because they actually they use it as a source of tension for the whole gimmick of the movie. Is that there are monsters that are attracted to sound. So when you go into labor, there's a serious amount of sound because it's one of the most painful things you can do to your body as a lady. Yeah. So that adds a shit ton of tension, and the film is about their little family unit and all that. And I won't go into any story details or anything, but it's a good movie. You should check it out if you like horror movies. So I think that is an interesting way to spin it. I think the only reason Mel is pregnant in what's it called in The Last of Us. Is to give a little bit more emotional manipulation and gain an extra bit of sympathy. Because I will spoil this. Spoilers for Last of Us 2. Mel gets killed, and therefore the baby dies too. So that's to give you an extra, pardon the perhaps indelicate pun, an extra gut punch. And the fact that it echoes what happens with Dina. The whole Last of Us is very, very cyclical. It's meant to be parallels and all that sort of stuff, mirror images. So that's why that is. I still think it's illogical and really fucking stupid, but I don't care that much. Like, it's not. I don't believe there's a big political agenda, and if it is, I'm not weak enough to let it sully my opinion on things.
And the point is, right? The point is, if
I'm not saying that you are, but a lot of people get so hung up on this sort of shit.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to matter to you, right? And if it doesn't matter to you, then the political message that they're trying to push it doesn't have any effect. It's like, if you don't see the political agenda, then it doesn't have the desired effect if it was a political agenda. So it makes it mute, it makes it null and void. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the point of a political message is that people take note and take action and change the world, whatever. But if you ignore that, like it doesn't make any difference to you, then the message has gone unheard. That's the way I see it anyway. But there you have it. Thanks for the question anyway, Orville Scotty. And let's move on, finally, to the next segment, which is the Triggered Fanboy Comment of the Week.
Right, so this one it's a little old. It's from a few weeks ago now, from the Biomutant video extract. And I'd seen this person comment on someone else's comment, but I hadn't seen this actual comment from himself, and I think it's so hilarious. He's definitely a triggered fanboy. Like, he ticks those boxes of being a fanboy of something and being overly angry about something fairly mundane. But he does it. It's quite a well-composed sentence structure. Like, and that was a very poor sentence to articulate the sentence structure. But like, it's not jumping out of the screen with big capital letters and swearing and all that. It's well structured grammatically, but it's still a bonkers point. So it's from the Biomutant extract video from a few weeks, I think 2 weeks ago. Michael Funica. I'm going to say Michael Funica. I take honor in bashing your video read, or read. Biomutant is knockoff Kirby. Biomutant is not a good game compared to Kirby. It is not unique, not fun, and totally deriving every gameplay aspect from the Kirby series. Wow. I'm extremely disappointed there is a grammatical error here, forgive me. I'm extremely disappointed in you, as you said you would put money on Biomutant. Well, just further proof of how much degenerate some gamers have become. Anyways, I hope you learned that Biomutant is garbage.
Wow, taking us to school.
This is the best one we've had in a long time.
That's
because
great.
It's insanity.
That's
Biomutant, a game I definitely haven't been playing. I don't know where you got that information. There's nothing remotely connecting between Biomutant and Kirby. As far as I'm not super familiar with Kirby. All I know about him is from Smash Bros. He's a little pink blob that eats things. That's his entire mechanic. You eat things and you take on their attributes, which is quite a cool mechanic. A game should rip that off. That sounds quite cool. You could absorb shit. From all of my my watching of pre-release Biomutant content and nothing to do with the actual game itself, you don't do that. You don't eat things and assume their characteristics and attributes. That doesn't happen. It's again, from all the trailers, you can see it. Just watch it for yourself. It's an action RPG with hack and slash elements and shooting elements and loot and character customization, all that sort of shit. That doesn't happen in Kirby, as far as I'm aware. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've completely misunderstood Kirby this whole time, and he's more than just a little adorable pink marshmallow.
Yeah.
But if this is such insanity, and the game is out on next Tuesday at the time of recording, so in 5 days. This comment was made 6 days ago from the time of recording. So homie hasn't played it. Maybe he went to some like E3 type event. I had a little bit of hands-on time.
Maybe.
But I think that's highly unlikely. You haven't played it. You can't say it's not unique, not fun, and totally deriving every gameplay aspect from the Kirby series. You don't know any of that, and you're also wrong that it's not deriving anything from the Kirby series.
Delusional triggered fanboy comment of the week there. That's a gem.
The chap comes back and comments against someone else. This is the one I first saw. So this person said, I don't normally play this kind of game, but I have to be honest, it has really grabbed my attention. It looks stunning, and so far combat looks fluid. I have high hopes that I pray really pray aren't dashed. And he comes back, high hopes, why? Biomutant is a knockoff Kirby. Let me ask you why you're wanting to play this trash heap. And you know what, to stay on, let's see if we can find any of his other comments, because I feel like this person could be a little gold mine of stupid takes. Alright, let's, oh fuck, why aren't you searching properly?
Kirby's, oh man.
Let me search. Search, please. Thank you.
I'm watching
Michael
gameplay of Kirby here, and it's a two side-scrolling 2D game.
There's more. What? Yes, this is great. Oh, I love you, Michael. You are the best Trigger fanboy we've perhaps had all year. Jake Hunter, when I first see the trailers about this a few years ago, I had no idea it was going to be this good, and the combat looks really fun. That's because Kirby is fun, and Biomutant copied that game blatantly. Anyone who doesn't see this is crazy. Then he comes back. Jake Hunter, still looks fun. Games copy each other a lot these days, nothing new. Michael Faulkner, it's not even out. How do you think people will react if it got pulled from PSN before release for copying Nintendo?
Oh, brilliant.
Back again against somebody else. Biomutant is knockoff Kirby.
Wow, this guy has got a bee in his bonnet.
Kirby is on PS2. THQ is so going to get sued. Biomutant is knockoff Kirby. I mean, and then he replied to the pinned comment as well. It's a knockoff Kirby. Cancel your pre-order. This is the only video he's commented on, and every single thing is about Kirby.
That's amazing.
And not a single one of his comments got any likes. So no one agrees with him.
Great point. You're not getting no likes, then you're obviously pretty deluded. There you have it.
I mean, I will give you the only element of praise is you are clearly quite a tenacious individual. You have gall and convictions. Your convictions are wildly inaccurate by my estimations, but you got them. You
got some positive qualities, even though you are completely batshit crazy.
But thank you, Michael.
That was good. That was a gem, that one. Okay, let's move on to non-triggered or non-specifically triggered comments from this week. I don't really have much. I've got a big long one here, so I don't really want to jump into that straight away. Have you got any others?
Well, you saying non-specifically triggered, I think this one sort of sits into that nest. This is from extract from last week about Sony developing 25 new games, half of which are new IPs. This NXT Doc 1851. What I like about this one is it brings in irrelevant information to kind of, in an attempt to almost paint our argument differently. So, wow, asks where the games are for PS5. I'd love to know what you think of Xbox's lineup then. So I feel like the suggestion is that we are pro Xbox. We're on Xbox's team of the console war instead of Sony, because these console war idiots always make everything about that. You want to know what I think of Xbox's lineup? It's fucking dog shit. You want to know what I think of Sony's lineup? It's also a bit dog shit, but it's not quite as bad. And he lists off a bunch of games. Demon's Souls, Godfall. I completely forgot that was the thing until reading that. Spider-Man Miles Morales and Remastered. Okay. Sackboy, Destruction All-Stars, Bugsnax, Returnal. That's the first 6 months. With Ratchet & Clank getting ready to drop, with Kena, don't know how you say it, and Horizon Zero Dawn later this year, this blew away PS4 and PS3's launch lineups. Okay. Almost all of those can be played elsewhere. Demon's Souls is a PS5 exclusive, yes, but it's a remake. Godfall, that is a PS5 exclusive, I think, at the moment, but I'm pretty sure it's meant to be coming out on other stuff later, or I think it might actually currently be also on PC, but I might be making that up. He might actually have a point there. Is it only on PS5? Oh, yeah. Oh, no, it is on Windows as well. Yep, that's Windows too. Okay, cool. Spider-Man Miles Morales, also on PS4, and Remastered, also on PS4. Sackboy, I think that's on PS4 as well. Sackboy, or that might be a PS5 exclusive. Let's just double check. No, yeah, that is on PS4. Okay, not looking good so far. Destruction All Stars, PS5, absolutely. That you got that one. Bugsnax, I'm quite certain that is PS4. Bugsnax. Oh, of course they spell it with an X because they're trendy. Oh no, PS4 and Windows, and it's actually also on Mac, which never happens. What's the next one? Returnal. Okay, yeah, you got Returnal, PS5 exclusive. Nice. So out of those, you've got three. in terms of exclusives that which is why consoles are made. Consoles are made, and then exclusives are made to sell the console. That's the business model, at least the traditional one that Sony's still following. Microsoft does their own thing now. Kenna is going to be on PC as well. Horizon Zero Dawn, assuming it actually comes out this year, which again I've reiterated a number of times, that's probably going to come to PC at some point too. Now, arguing that it blew out the PS4 and PS3 launch lineups, okay, yeah, maybe. I can't remember what came out around those times, but it still doesn't have there's nothing there that makes me go, I need a PS5 right now. And that's my opinion. You have your opinion? Absolutely fine. I'm not disparaging you, my friend. That's why you're not a Triggered fanboy this week. You get a little bit of flack for bringing in, I'd love to know what you think of Xbox's lineup, because it's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
But I just disagree that any of these are worth me buying a PS5.
It's quite funny that the way that we talk about gaming and games, like we're both PC gamers now, right? And we're generally down the middle when it comes to Xbox and PlayStation. We say bad things about them both, and we say good things about them both. In general, if something good needs saying, something bad needs saying, we'll say it. We don't stick to size, and we're not a fanboy. People might characterize us like that, but it's just not true, and it's just bullshit, right? On this specific video, I just in general, like the general feeling of some of the comments towards us having talked about PS5 is that we are negative towards PlayStation, and they get triggered so easily and they jump to the defense, and there's like so many of them like this guy that you've just
if you want my bipartisanship for the console war, I'm currently wearing a Gears of War hat. There's the Crimson Omens, that's Microsoft, and permanently on me I have that which is from God of War, just in case it wasn't clear that I like both.
Yeah.
But this person, he comments back to the original commenter. I'm going to give him a like because he deserves one. Luis Roman, Xbox has Game Pass, Sony has exclusives. At the end of the day, as long as I have a lot of games to play, I'm happy. That's the right fucking attitude, but the original poster then seems to get pissed off by that. Okay, and PS has PS Now, which has more downloadable PS4 and PS2 games than Game Pass has total for the same cost. PS just doesn't cram it down your throat all day. Cram it down your throat, because I don't get that. Microsoft talks about Game Pass a lot because it's its primary business model now, and it's really fucking great value. And PS Now and Game Pass are not comparable in terms of quality or
the amount,
library.
The sheer amount of games.
They're not the same, but I'm not going to indulge in this person anymore. You're not wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong, but you are a Sony fanboy. You're not quite triggered.
Absolutely. That's it. Okay, so I've got one was on last week's podcast, this comment from Twin Mama, one of our favourite commenters. Dear PGG, the best tutorials are those that you are not aware of. For example, the Binding of Isaac. Every run in the starter room, the controls are written on the floor, almost the same in Stardew Valley. Controls are shown the first day until you move your avatar. After that, you'll have to go to the options to look it up, or The Witcher 3. You play through the prologue, and then the game first teaches you the basic of movements and later the basics of combat, and then you can skip both tutorial sections without skipping the narrative, which is great. I hate it when tutorials pop up, as I'm already in the action of doing what the tutorial suggests, which is what point we made last week. It's so annoying. The other day I absolutely dislike it. The other thing I absolutely dislike is when you start with a full set of abilities and they're stripped away after the tutorial because that lacks common sense and logic. The least obnoxious way was in DA2, as the story is told by an unreliable narrator, Varric Tethras, to a skeptical listener, Cassandra Pantergast, who immediately steps in and asks him to stick to the truth. Still, we'll never know the true story. See you, Twin Mama. And then P.S. Gaz as a multi-billion enterprise is going to be big oil with thousands of gas stations all over the world. Awesome comment, that. The trope of having the abilities to start with, so you see what it's like previewing what the game's going to be like in like 10 hours time when you've got all the abilities, and then stripping it all back. It's such a trope, but it kind of works for games.
It works. I think it's done well when it's embedded into the narrative as well. Like one of the first examples I can think of when I first was like, oh, that's cool, was the original Assassin's Creed. You start off as you're not like master assassin, but you're high up in the ranks, and I think you go to do an assassination you weren't supposed to, and you've got all your gear, and the boss is like, right, back down to little bitch mode. Because then it justifies why you can still do some pretty crazy parkour shit. You've already got that base level of training, but you don't have any of your cool items or anything. I think it's a really... You're right, you're absolutely right, it's a trope, but it's a good trope.
It works because it gives you a flavour of the game as it's going to be. It keeps you engaged because you know this is what the game's going to be like. You're not going to get that straight away, so stick with it. But eventually you will have all these powers and you will be this powerful. Look how good it is. And it's the same... I think some movies do this, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? The very first scene... You go on this little adventure with Indiana Jones, and you get that little. It's like a mini microcosm of what the whole entire film is. Like he goes on this, the ball comes after him, and then he gets double crossed at the end. Spoiler alert! It's like it's like that, right? You get a taste of what the film's going to show, and then straight after that scene, you cut to him being a teacher, and he's got his glasses on, and he's all boring and that, right? But you've had a taste of what the film's going to be, and you know what it's foreshadowed. You know what it's going to be like for the rest of the film. I think I don't see that as a bad thing myself, but it's horses for courses at the end of the day. It's a trope because a lot of games have done it, and I think it's good though. I think it's good to see what you're out for, because there are so many games that I play the first couple of hours for and I get shit bored. Because I don't know what to expect. I don't know what the game's going to be like in 10, 20 hours time. I don't know if I'm going to have fun with it. But at least this way, I can see whether I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something games need to get better at, because games are much longer than films. They need to tease what you're going to be doing at the end to make you stick with it. But it's easier said than done, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got one comment here, which I think it's kind of needlessly toxic, and it's on... the extract about Ubisoft games. Well, Ubisoft starting to do free-to-play games in tandem with traditional AAA ones. He says, King of Kings, if you think this is a good thing, you are the problem with gaming. So this post got 2 likes as well, so a couple of people agree.
Not him and his alter account.
Him and, yeah, perhaps. So this guy says, because we think Ubisoft venturing out into free-to-play games, which won't, in theory, damage any of its AAA output, which largely we probably wouldn't be playing anyway, is a good thing, and it's an experiment which will earn more money. That's a problem with gaming. Oh, okay, bud. All right. What? The reason I picked this one out is just because you know the exact kind of person this is. Like, they are the stereotype of just the horrible little shit heap who just can't enjoy anything and blames everyone else for their own little problems. So I'm sorry for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think he completely doesn't realise that these new games, this new content is coming entirely separate from what already exists. It's not going to change that at all. Not make any difference to the games which are already there. So like,
he doesn't engage with any arguments or make any points.
How can it make what's currently available worse? Because all it is additional stuff. It doesn't make any sense for me. But on that same video, L-Waves comments, 19 likes on this one. Pay for the game, pay to unlock the start feature, pay to get beyond the tutorial mode, pay to create a character, pay to progress in the game without excessive grinding, pay to have your character wear the cosmetics you saw in the trailer, pay to get the end of the game, pay to get the real ending. That sounds like the amiibo tactic that Nintendo were taking earlier, pay for gameplay features, right?
My favourite gameplay mechanic is opening my wallet.
That definitely is a gameplay mechanic. That's what they want to have, that's for sure.
Alright, I've got 2 more. One positive one, which I think is kind of sort of fun. It's kind of funny, nice to end on, and then one more before that, which is it's dumb shit. And it's from yesterday's video, which the main story was Ubisoft has done little to address the complaints of toxicity and problems with its senior executives and staff and whatnot. It's from Doomerang. Never knew you were part of the guilty until proven guilty crowd. Pathetic. So this is the exact kind of comment I knew someone would make, which is why I brought it up, because people do it all the time. Anytime anything comes around like this. Ubisoft was accused of a whole bunch of stuff, ranging from general, unprofessional conduct, like taking people to strip clubs, which you probably shouldn't do, but really, is that the end of the world? All the way to full-on sexual assault. Some people reported, like, the one specific person, like, tried to pin someone to the wall with their hand around their neck, which is clearly unacceptable. Anytime there's any sort of accusation like that, the truth needs to be ascertained, and you can't just assume them to be right, which is what I literally fucking said in the video if these people actually paid attention to anything that's going into their ears. But the problem is that HR didn't do that. HR just did nothing. They didn't do something and then find, oh no, we don't find there's a problem here. They just did nothing. They could have done something and found, oh no, that's not that there's this happened, this context, blah, 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 blah. But I think so many people accuse... So you can't just jump on to assuming that it's right or assuming that it's wrong. And I think a lot of people, like this person, assume that it's wrong. Because I didn't. I didn't say that anything definitely did or definitely didn't happen. Although, I'm inclined to believe it did, because Ubisoft fucking admitted half of it. They sacked half the people, which is basically admitting blame. And maybe it's just to cover their ass, but if they could have just kept them. They could have done. Nothing's going to happen. They're an enormous corporation. I knew someone would comment something like this, which is the only reason I bring it out. And I just think it's fucking stupid and doesn't listen to anything I actually said. Anyway, the slightly more positive one, which is a bit more fun, unless you've got any more.
No, I don't have any more left.
Which is a sentiment I entirely agree with, from Lord Posh Name Von Plumbing Parts. Nice. Very nice. His profile picture, I can't quite make out, but it's someone in a top hat. Lovely. Die Hard is a Christmas film. Change my mind. It absolutely is a Christmas film. It's set at Christmas and it's about family. It's Christmas themes through and through. Oh, for context, it's talking about Die Hard because COD Warzone is adding John McClane as an operator, which I think is really cool. And Rambo. You get Rambo as well.
There you have it. Yeah. That is the end of the comment section, and it's almost the end of our community special podcast. But we have one more section left. We have the bad dad joke of the week. Strap in. Right, you ready, Henry?
No, I'm not ready.
Well, hopefully we can see your face this week because fingers crossed your camera's is still working at this point. But you never know.
Well, you know what? It's currently rolling, but I'm going to stop it and start it just to give it a little kick. Make sure it cooperates. All right. No.
And then you won't see Henry's face for the rest of the podcast.
See, now it's done the thing. Now it's just turned off.
Oh, it was working so well.
See, here we go. An error prevented shooting. I can't fucking read it. Turn the camera off and on again, or reinstall the battery. So what I am going to do is I'm going to swap out the memory card, and see what happens. I will edit this little bit out while I change cards, but it will be hilarious for our lore. The lore of Pretty Good Gaming is that Henry's camera just shits the bed. Okay, we are now rolling on the new card. We'll see what happens. Maybe this is the future. We just need to cut it halfway through.
We can see.
And film it in two halves.
Fingers crossed we get the full eye roll from these dad jokes on Henry's face now. Okay, Clonely contributes. What's the difference between a literalist and a kleptomaniac? A literalist takes things literally. A kleptomaniac takes things literally.
See, I like stuff like that because it depends where you place the comma. It's like it's time to eat granddad versus it's time to eat granddad. There are two different sentences where the comma changes everything. Okay.
I'm going to have to adjust this one, but you're going to have to participate in this one, Henry, okay?
Okay.
So you're gonna have to see this. It's not a joke. It's just a conversation, right? Approach it with a mindset. So the best thing I've ever used is Uplad.
The best thing you've ever used is Uplad?
Yeah. What's your
what does that mean?
No, say it in a different way, Henry.
What? I'm fucking this up. The best thing you've ever used is Uplad.
Yeah, Uplad.
Uplad.
Yeah.
Uplad.
Yeah. No, ask a question that's on your lips.
What's Uplad?
Not much, lad. What's up with you?
Oh, for God's sake. That was not worth the trouble.
To be fair, it wasn't worth the trouble. But it was on a meme. It was like a couple of texts where somebody messaged the Merseyside Police Twitter account saying, "My son has taken Uplad," and the Merseyside police fell for it hook, line and sinker, saying,
no.
"What's up, lad?" And then, "Not much. What's up with you?" And it was funnier in that meme form where you could read it from the screen. But I give it a go, and it failed. I've got another one. This is from the Bad Dad Jokes Twitter bot that we've got here, or the Discord bot. 6:30 is the best time on a clock, hands down.
That's quite good. That's a classic.
Yeah.
It's a nice visual to picture in your head as well. I like that.
And that's it. That is the end. Thanks everybody for contributing to the Bad Dad Jokes, as well as everybody for contributing to the questions and everything that we've talked about today. Help us make this community special work. And that is it from us for podcast 103. If you don't want to support us, head over to patreon.com/BritGaming, or head over to our main channel on YouTube and click the join button. On behalf of Henry and myself, we will see you again in the next podcast. Until then, bye for now.
Bye.